Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. At one time, countries would only prosecute people for crimes that they had committed on their own territory. However, that has changed over the years, and probably that's a good thing as well. So, for example, now war crimes can be pursued against people, even if they happened in places where it's difficult to enforce the law. Or another example would be pedophiles and people involved in sex trafficking, that very often they will carry on their activities in parts of the world where either the laws against such things are very lax or the laws are not well applied by the security forces there. And so, for example, if somebody from Ireland goes to a country somewhere in Asia where the laws are not very strict, they can still be prosecuted in the Irish courts for the harm that they cause to children overseas. And that is a good thing. So Canada is another country, one of the many countries now that has this kind of legislation in place. But last week, Canada took it a step further, because they passed a new law which states that any Canadian astronaut on a space mission can be prosecuted in Canada for crimes that they might commit while they are in space or even on the surface of the moon. I love that. They've passed a law that enables them to prosecute any Canadian that does something wrong when he's on the moon. Now, there's never been any Canadians on the moon, but one of the motivations behind passing this law is that in 2024, there's due to be a Canadian astronaut will be involved, not landing on the moon, but just on doing a mission that will be orbiting the moon. And they're trying to cover all their bases, that if he does anything wrong while he's up there in space, they can still prosecute him. Well, you know what, in one sense I understand this, because we all hate it whenever people do something wrong and something where they should be called to account, but they avoid it because of a loophole in a law where a law has not been maybe framed properly. But we need to recognize you can never exclude every loophole. I've discovered that whatever system you have in place to try to get people to do the right thing, somebody will always find a way of finding a loophole or an exception in the system. And, you know, we can go on passing law after law after law, taking precaution after precaution after precaution against everything that could possibly go wrong. But in the end, you can't entirely do that. And you still end up with situations that are unexpected and unforeseen. And that's true not just for countries, but that's true for individuals as well. We can have all kinds of insurance, we can take all kinds of precautions, we can get all kinds of security alarms and systems and locks put on our homes and on our property and everything else. But in the end, unexpected bad things still happen. And that's where I delight in the fact that we have the Lord God Almighty operating on our behalf and protecting us and moving to vindicate and to bring justice. Because God is ready for every eventuality. There's never been a situation in this world that has ever taken God by surprise. God sees it coming and God is ready for it. And that, if that applies to world history in general, if that applies to the affairs of nations, then it most certainly applies to my life. There is nothing bad in my life that can take God by surprise. And there's nothing bad in your life that can take God by surprise. Whatever happens, you might be shocked by it, but God is not shocked by it. And God has a plan to deal with it. And his plan is good and pleasing and perfect. So if you find yourself in a situation and you think, man, I never thought this would ever happen to me, I want to tell you, God says, I knew it was going to happen to you. And I'm here now to help you through it and carry you through it. And in those times, that's when it's a wonderful thing to know that we can lean on the everlasting arms of the everlasting God. May God bless you this day. Join us again next time for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.